Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. And today we're talking about Atomfall. Just a brief look at this pretty intriguing game. This is from Rebellion, the people behind the Sniper Elite games. They've actually been a veteran studio since the 90s, but that's what they're most known for recently. But here they're doing something completely different. Something that at first glance looked like Atomic Heart or BioShock in the English countryside. But it's actually kind of weirder and more experimental than that. It's part simple Fallout New Vegas, it's part an investigation game, and just a lot more influences I'll get into. Atomfall here is a flawed game, yes, with some not great combat, but it's a completely new and pretty challenging game, and just a solid, entertaining AA experience. It experiments, it doesn't really overstay its welcome, and if you're curious about games and just how genres can be mashed up and, things come out of it, and you like exploring weird systems and piecing things together, maybe consider it. And just so you know, before we keep going, I've been playing a review copy, and this footage is captured running on an Xbox Series X and is all spoiler-free. So, Atomfall starts simple enough. You wake up in this vault, you're given a vague mission by a desperate survivor guy, and then you just venture out into this world you know nothing about. It's kind of a Chernobyl exclusion zone. Think like a walled-off area after a big nuclear science disaster where whatever surrounding civilization was nearby is just stuck in it and is forced to just survive and live however they can. Only instead of Chernobyl, it's like, I think the northern English countryside, quaint villages, pubs, stone row houses, rivers, fields, red phone booths, the whole 9 yards. Only most of this countryside is like a complete post-apocalyptic wasteland. Now, this is what immediately hooked me. First of all, I didn't really know what this game was going in. That really helped, but the game just tosses you into this world with no help, no quest marker to follow, and just some vague clues. You sneak around bandits because you're weak until you eventually find a friendly NPC or the main town where you can start figuring out what's going on. While, yes, it's a light RPG, I'll talk about that in a second, what's most interesting is that Atomfall is like an investigation game. It's like a lower stakes time, you're just wandering around and trying to figure stuff out. You need a battery maybe to unlock a big mechanical door. Well, there are a variety of ways to get one, but the game does not spell it out for you. No quest markers, no nothing. Depending on what you stumble into, it can be painfully convoluted, like, helping an NPC do another thing, but first, of course, you got to do them a favor and help somebody else. Or you could just find a note that, maybe somebody tells you where it is, or you could just stumble upon one somewhere out in the wild. It's stuff we've seen in games before, but still the way it's just so kind of casually tossed at you here just feels kind of fresh. The game is essentially you collecting leads and wandering around and pursuing those leads in a complete non-linear fashion. All these leads and clues and hints and stuff just keep stacking up and aren't organized very well in the menus, I will say, but when you wander over to a new region or backtrack to another one, you always know you just have a bunch of things to poke around for or pursue or, connect the dots. The non-linear fashion just works really, really well here because you're slowly piecing together the world and the story and the lore while also just climbing out of an endless hole of vague quests in a good way, if that makes sense. You're kind of looking for answers to something mysterious going on, but also possibly a way out of this zone. And early on, it becomes clear there are a few distinct people that can help you with that. There's a theme, kind of like a level of paranoia around this whole world. So you can go along with each person if you want, or go behind their backs and aid the other one, not trust someone else, but it's all in very low-key ways. It's not really spelled out for you, but it is very faction-like, if you like playing with factions and RPGs. Very early on in the town area, you're given a few scenarios with the townspeople that you can tackle in a few ways. Help someone, or act like you're helping them, get some info, and rat them out to someone else. Or, you want all the answers, you can just kill them and take their keys and go open a door. Yes, it seems like that type of game. It's not the most systems-heavy RPG, and it doesn't have endless dialogue trees or anything like that, but, you can kill a lot of important people and the game keeps rolling, which is always appreciated. Now, when you venture out into the worlds, it's a few distinct open zones separated by loading screens. You'll encounter enemies. Some creepy scientific anomalies and creatures, but mostly people. violent bandits, trigger-happy military guys, or culty woods people. You're pretty weak, and supplies are extremely limited, especially at the start, like survival horror level. You have a small inventory at the start and a few bullets, so you have to sneak past large groups. Or, interestingly enough, just avoid confrontation altogether. Like literally, like they'll see you. A lot of enemies are just kind of like, hey, take it easy, get out of here, or are we gonna have a problem? So if you just keep your distance and stay far away, you can save bullets sometimes. It's actually weird how much you can avoid conflict sometimes, but it also just, again, is another thing that makes the game feel kind of unique, a little different. Now, the combat is a little janky. The shooting feels pretty good, and the aiming is responsive, but the melee, which the game relies on sometimes, is stiff and not very good. This, and fiddling with inventory controls and throwables, leads to some encounters just being kind of messy and goofy. Headshots are satisfying, you can kind of John Wick it if you're good at aiming, and you can do stealth kills, but ultimately the enemies are pretty dumb. They often just kind of run towards you, or they're easily baited or forgetful, and occasionally they get stuck places. Still, the game prioritizes some strategy, and I like that. Craft some Molotov cocktails, because crafting is a big thing here. So toss those at some enemies, and then use your last 5 bullets to take out one guy, and then hit the last guy with a cricket bat. It works, even if sometimes it just feels, like I said, kind of jacked up. I took out almost an entire base once, like a big military base, because the enemies were just too dumb to really notice or respond in an effective way. I just kind of crept around and headshotted them one by one, and it was a little underwhelming. Still, there are bigger things that are more of a threat, at least, I guess, turrets, robots, and stuff like that. And the game is difficult still, even with these issues. My other big problem, though, is that I wish there was just more to stealth, because you can do it. You can crouch and hide in bushes and stealth kill, like I said, but in the way of tools and options, you're not really given much. So stealth is only really an option that goes so far. Still, again, I like the difficulty. I played on one of the suggested higher difficulties of Survivor, and I died quite a bit. I just really liked tightly managing my inventory. The game's resource system is based around trade and bartering. There's no currency, there's no money, so traders and shop owners want stuff, and they give you stuff. Imagine Resident Evil, but to buy a new gun, you have to give the shopkeeper guy 3 of your green herbs. It's a really, really good system, and it makes you painstakingly choose every transaction. So not only are you stressing out about inventory management, but also trade management and the scarcity there. Plus, you want loot and weapons, and also finding items that gives you points in a skill tree. It's a stingy skill tree, it takes some time, but some of it is pretty necessary. I do recommend the gun upgrades. Like I said, crafting is important in this game, and it is cool to craft better weapons that don't look like rusted out old crap. And the worlds themselves that you explore are beautiful. There's a lot of environmental storytelling here, just like cute little things like weird dead skeletons, hidden caves, nooks and crannies, and tons of shortcuts. The game is pretty dense in how intertwined its areas are, providing these secret ways around if you're willing to look for them. This helps with the fact that there's no fast travel. The areas aren't the biggest ever, but they're just big enough where it is kind of annoying not to have it. I get the game wants you to rely on exploring and finding and making shortcuts, and I started to really memorize these areas and kind of know them pretty well, and I like that. But even with learning the ins and outs and stuff, I still found it tedious at times. But again, the worlds are gorgeous, but also dense. It's not perfect. There are abandoned buildings that just unfortunately look completely barren and kind of cheap and blank. But when you do find something good, it's just great and worthwhile. Stumbling upon traps, stumbling upon hidden enemy caches, it's all that stuff. And again, it all goes into this massive pile of leads and clues and things to try and work through. It all just feels really cohesive, for lack of a better phrase. It's also just a unique setting. The quaint English village with the homes and the pubs, but also riddled with nasty soldiers and barbed wire and cool 60s sci-fi robots stomping around. It really just feels like a unique vision, and it gets even more unique the deeper into the game you go. And the humor and the charm is kind of there, especially the English vibes. There is so much slang here, and I gotta be honest, I don't know what some of you guys are talking about. But again, it's another thing that makes this game feel unique and different. After 20 hours or so, it's certainly not a long game, but one that feels longer. I guess because it's like a good meal. The unfulfilling combat really, for me, didn't get in the way of just continuing to play because I wanted to see what happened next, what I find next, what weird thing happens. It's not a massive game with RTX ray tracing and crazy detail in every corner. It shows its age in some spots actually, but it's filled with character and some really great influences. Again, it's kind of like a weird experimental Fallout Light, with some of the vague non-linearity of something like The Witness and a dash of BioShock. As long as you go in with your expectations in check, you might find yourself pleasantly surprised with this one. I know everybody says video games now are just endless remakes and sequels, but this is its own unique thing. Rebellion went out and they tried and made their own IP. And again, as much as I think it's flawed, I still think for some of the hardcore enthusiasts out there, it's something worth checking out, at least taking a peek at. But that's a quick before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Was this game on your radar? I feel like they didn't really advertise it or broadcast it too much. I didn't actually know it was coming out, but I'm glad I played it. Still, let me know how you're feeling on this or anything else Rebellion has done, or games of this style. It's a very hard one to explain. I hope I got it across, but let me know in the comments what you think. If you like this video and maybe it helped steer your decision or something like that, clicking the like button helps us out. We really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing, maybe hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.